call to action for the future, right? What is the most productive way to address some of the issues that we have covered?
What I would really say is, Jeff talked about it early on, is education. You see how the athletes have some form of education when athletes are signed and they're recruited. Um, they go through a series of education in terms of business management, how to manage their money and things of that nature, and what they're about to encounter. I believe the entertainment industry needs something very similar. When an artist signs a deal, what should they expect? Because not every artist has representation. I think it should really be on the record label's behalf to take the step to inform the artist about the deals that they're signing, the advance that they're receiving, and what they should be expecting for maybe the next year or two or in their career, and how they should have an attorney. They need to have a business manager. They need to have a personal manager, just some form of education. And that's not something that takes place. The artist is left to try to figure it out on themselves, by themselves. And usually they're surrounded by wolves when they don't start out with representation.
I agree. I mean, um, it's very hard from the record label perspective. We're in, and Professor Green just talked about this. We're definitely in for the record side, but we generally don't participate in touring, for example, and a lot happens in touring. And we, sometimes participate in merch, depending upon how that goes. But it's, the education component is critical and the representation component is critical. And just to be clear, we don't sign any artists unless they have legal representation. And I know that's true for every major record company and many independents. But it's the artist's legal representation, the artist's management, which is really, really challenging sometimes. I mean, someone told me once, it was a great concept. They said every artist should hire a manager that would fire the artist. Like an artist who hires a manager, if it's your cousin Pookie or somebody from Homeboy Management, like it ain't gonna work, right? Because they're going to be there. You need somebody who's going to give you tough love and tell you, and is competent enough that if you don't do things the right way, they'll leave. Instead, you have people who are enablers in many instances, in a management role, and that's not helping anybody. And I will say, some of the events that have happened in the last couple of years, and at least in the, whether you want to call it black, urban, hip hop side of the business, have been very, I think, very damaging to the business overall. Very damaging to third party businesses wanting to invest in certain genres of music, because of some of the events and perceived conduct that's been happening. So it's a challenge, and I can't emphasize enough how important education is. I think it's also not only business education, but learning how to take care of yourself. Mental wellness is a huge component with artists. And it's a very tough, difficult and challenging relationship as a record company, because you're not my daddy, you're not my parents, you can't tell me what to do. So there's some of that. But it's, and they're not our employees, legally. So you can't really there aren't the same consequences, that one might have if it were a different kind of workplace, where certain behaviors wouldn't be tolerated in that workplace. That doesn't apply in a record company artist relationship. But I look a lot at, I'm very involved in music cares, for example, and really looking for ways to provide resources for artists across the panoply of challenges that they have, not just economic, but kind of, social and mental well-being.
Kevin, do you want to answer the question? But also, I know you've studied the concept of reparations more than
anybody. Than anybody. So I wrote the first reparations article way back in 2008. And I have an article that just came out in the University of Pittsburgh Law Review, which gives a 10-point plan for some of the things that we're talking about. So I think we don't have a time to go over all that. Let me say a couple of things here. I was at BISLA back in November. BISLA is the Black Entertainment and Sports Laws Association. It was 5,000 people, however many people were there in Cabo San Lucas. It was so empowering to be around so many brilliant, talented, well-educated Black people. And everybody on almost every panel, because I asked the question, particularly in one of the panels, all that euphoria after George Floyd, all of that, wow, maybe we should take a look at things and re-examine things. According to the people I was with at BISLA, all of that is gone. So it was nice that Universal has this $25 million fund, and I respect everybody on this call. I respect Jeff, and I respect him for being here. But the truth of the matter is that that will not cut it. And long term, I think everybody knows that. I think the business recognizes that as well. This is going to have to be some sort of reckoning for it. When we're talking about the streaming business and the music industry, the other thing we should talk about is that the music industry makes most of its money from old music. Old music outsells new music 2-1. Go look at the statistics. What does that mean? All of that old music was done under segregation. All that old music was done under conditions where the artists were not compensated. It was a pattern and practice of the music industry. And these guys, Primary Wave and all these cats who are buying up all that music, number one, most of the people who actually created that music were never paid. Number two, we know that the performers didn't get anything. So I'm doing research on doo-wop now. And I don't think any doo-wop artist ever got anything. And that is a genre that's foundational to rock and roll and everything else. But the other thing I want to say, all of that music is still being sold, is still being monetized, still being used in TV shows, in movies, in TV commercials. And every time I see a TV commercial with some old blues song or some rhythm and blues songs from the 50s or even music from the 60s and 70s, I ask myself, did the person who actually created that get paid? I'm doing a history of the Black girl groups of the 1960s. It's not looking good. Most of these women were either paid a pittance or paid nothing. And that music is timeless. It stood the test of time.